Could be. So, we got a lot to talk about. And I am going to do something for the next 2 hours, which violates what I have done for the last 23 years, really 18 years, as an afternoon drive host here on the Doug Gottlieb Show, which is I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about, not necessarily what you want to talk about. Right? The rule in sports radio, especially national sports radio, is check your ego, which doesn't really happen with most of us as hosts. Check your ego, but check your ego in terms of topic selection. Right? Topic selection. Guys that talk about what they want to talk about fall by the wayside. Guys that talk about what the most people want to talk about. Like, we make fun of talking about the Cowboys at all times, but when you talk about the Cowboys, more people have an opinion or seem to want to listen. So I'm going to violate that because of an announcement that I made after our show 2 days ago, and we'll get into that in a second. First thing is, congratulations to Dan Byers' Seattle Seahawks. What a game. What a win. What a way to announce your presence, Nuke LaLoosh style, with authority in the NFL on Thursday Night Football. That was a wild one last night in Seattle.
Never a dull moment. You already said it with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. Every Seahawks game came down to the final second or the last play of the game. Last night, the Sam Darnold, Mike McDonald era, no different.
And I love, my favorite thing about social media is freezing cold takes is pretty good, but when people keep receipts, and if you would have looked at halftime or early in the third quarter on Sam Darnold was, what was the quarterback? He was basically Nathan Peterman, right? Nathan Peterman, like same old Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold sucks. I can't believe Seattle did this. This is the real Sam Darnold. You had all the memes with him pulling off the mask, all those things. And then Sam Darnold, the competitor, wakes up and ends up winning the day. A wild one. And I apologize. We're not really going to get into that. We're not going to get into the Puka Nacua. I just think he's too dumb. He doesn't know. I'm Jewish. Again, there's plenty of anti-Semitism up there. I didn't view that as anti-Semitism. I view that as somebody doing something which people want. People are looking for the gotcha moment. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So there are other things to get to. Tonight, you have a football game in Norman, Oklahoma, which I am fascinated by. And I would love, matter of fact, I'm going to do it in my final radio show here on Fox Sports Radio. I'm going to tell you, listen to Stephen A. Smith talk about the outcome of this football game and saying that, if Alabama doesn't win, they should get rid of their coach and he should go to Michigan when you don't know anything about college football is the worst part of this business. Yesterday, I had the day off because I traveled from Green Bay to Las Vegas to recruit in a junior college event, the Tarkanian Classic, which is at the Orleans Arena. And so I had about 3 hours to myself, and I sat down at a bar, and I was watching First Take and Get Up, and watching First Take and them talk about college football. I wanted to stab my eyes out. That's what I wanted to do. Stab my eyes out. And so it's part of those emotions that leaving this show behind, because I don't think I know this is the best show on sports radio, because one, our personalities all work together. Two, we all actually kind of like each other. And three, we all actually like and care on different levels about sports, which is not how it works otherwise. And we're not hot takers. We don't say things that we don't believe and that we haven't thoroughly thought out and have reason behind it. And you're like, wait, this is your last show? If you haven't found out, Wednesday after the game, and we had, that's our best win since I've been at Green Bay. And it's our best win not because, winning on the road is more difficult. Winning at in the U.S. Virgin Islands against really talented teams like UMass and Iona was an incredible weight lifted off us, and we played really, really well. We've done some other impressive things, but Santa Barbara is outstanding. They're really good. Being at home is important because those are the people that fund your program. Those are the people that want to see growth and success. And so beating a top 150, and really when healthy, they're a top 100 team like Santa Barbara, was gigantic. Afterwards, I announced that this would be my last year, or this would be my last show with live radio. Okay, so just to clarify, I'm still going to do a podcast. I'm still going to do my podcast, the Doug Gottlieb Show podcast. We'll use the All Ball platform, and iHeart has been great, and we're going to work together on it, and there are no negatives there. But some of it is perception, and not that I care what people think, but the people that matter, I want them to know Green Bay basketball is incredibly important to me. And you can't say something's your dream job and then not be willing to literally and figuratively give your all for it. The reality to it is Green Bay basketball hasn't suffered the last year and a half because I haven't worked hard enough at it. I would say there are times in which you guys have picked me up, which has been great. And it's been all the other things in my life which suffer. It's just hard when you're trying to be a show which is knowledgeable and not say things that you don't know to be true. It's one of the things that Jason and I get into all the time. Jason's like, well, you never go like all in on some things. You're kind of wish about. And I'm not. The reality is the world is gray more than black and white, even though sports TV, sports radio, political TV, once you think it's black and white, it's left and right, and it's not. So we'll talk about it some more, but I was thinking about this. Sports radio has been the theme music to my life. Theme music to my life. I was born in Milwaukee, lived there till I was 6, moved to Southern California, and every summer we would return to New York City. My dad was a New Yorker, grew up in the Bronx, moved out to the island when he was 14 years old. And he would rent a car, and he was like the only human being that would like to drive in New York because he was a New Yorker. And he would turn on WFAN, which had Imus in the morning, and it had Mike and the Dog in the afternoon. And he loved it. I would listen to Angels talk after Angels games and call in. When I was in high school, I started listening to XTRA in San Diego, AM 690. And in the afternoon, they had Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. For the next couple hours, I want to talk sports with you from Poway to Escondido all the way up to Temecula Valley. For the next couple of hours, this is your home for sports, right? That is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. And at night, there was a show called The Jim Rome Show. And they was wild. And they would do drug tests. Toka Nakua, for his posts, continuing posts, would have gotten a drug test, which had a peeing in a cup sound in the background. And, Raiders suck, Chargers rule, good night now, was part of the vernacular to anyone who watched that show. I remember when Jim Rome got picked up nationally, and I think Denver was his first affiliate. Like, this is how I grew up. And so when I was in high school, my dad was my AAU coach, and he would pick me up from school, and we'd have to go pick up players for practice because their parents couldn't do it. And we had to find guys where no one else found them because we just didn't have enough players living in Orange County to compete on a national basis in AAU basketball. And I would have my homework, and he would be listening to either sports radio, XTRA, or he would listen to old cassette tapes of old-time radio. The Jack Benny Show, Burns and Allen, you name it. So when I got to Oklahoma State, my first year there, we were 13-0. We were ready to play Nebraska with Tyronn Lue. And Nebraska was a pathetic road team. And they asked me, Will Hancock, our late SID, came in and asked me during shoot-around, hey, everybody wants to talk to you. What radio show do you want to do? Jay Stu, do you know what radio show I want to do?
Oh, boy. The Jim Rome Show.
Correct. Because the year before, when I was sitting out at Golden West College, Toby Bailey, who I had grown up playing against, was his college basketball insider. And I said, tell Jim I want to be his college basketball insider. And we lost to Nebraska. Coach was so pissed I didn't get to do any of the interview until the NCAA tournament. And then I told Jim I wanted to be his college basketball insider. I was the next year. And then Eric Chenoweth, who I'd grown up with, also in Orange County, Villa Park High School, who also grew up listening to the Jim Rome show, he wanted to be on, and we would go back and forth in different spots while on Jim Rome show. I've been doing this for a long time. And this will be a emotional 2 hours for me. I hope a good listen for you. I'm going to tell you how I made it in this business. And there really is only two things you truly, truly need. And then one other thing that I don't think most of you will be able to get. And I'm sorry for that, but I'm not sorry because I work really hard for it. But for the next 2 hours, we're going to do This Is My Radio Life. And it started in Orange County, and it started listening to XDRA, and it started listening to Hacksaw and Rome. And the other part it started was in 1996 through 97, I sat out at Golden West College. And my high school coach my first year was Tom McCluskey. He took the Golden West job. And so I went there and I redshirted essentially, practiced with the team. And on weekends, my old high school girlfriend lived up in Santa Barbara, and my brother was in San Luis Obispo at Cal Poly, his first job. And so I would go up and stop in on the way to San Luis Obispo and see his games usually on a Saturday night. And on Sunday night, I would drive home. And the first show at ESPN Radio was a Sunday night show. It was called Game Night. And I think our show is the best now. The best show at that time that I remember was Game Night. Tony Bruno and Chuck Wilson. And I would drive home on the 101 on a Sunday night and listen to these guys from Bristol, Connecticut. And I thought to myself, man, I'd really like to do that. Fast forward to 2003, and I got an opportunity to work at ESPN Radio. My first show, for the first 3 years I was there, was Game Night. My co-host was the most prepared man I've ever worked with, ever seen, ever happened upon in the history of the medium. His name is Chuck Wilson. He joins us now here on the Doug Gottlieb Show on Fox Sports Radio. Chasmo, how you doing?
Doing well, Doug. I'm glad to be able to join you today.
Game Night, way back when. What was it like? For not with me, with Bruno and those guys. What were those shows like?
It was amazing. I mean, you're talking about a 7-hour talk show, and we do it Saturdays and Sundays, right? 7 hours. Here's the kicker. We didn't take phone calls. So you're talking for 7 hours. There'd be three in the booth. It'd be Tony and me, and then we had kind of a rotating. Peter Brown was there for a period of time. They rotated in TV people. Keith Olbermann and Mike Tirico were Saturday and Sunday when we first started out. But we rotated people for a long period of time. I ended up working with over 200 co-hosts at one time or another. Yeah, I mean, the cool thing about it was we had access to all of the ESPN talent, and the good name of ESPN got us a lot of interviews. On the very first weekend, we broke the story of Danny Tartabull to the Yankees through Keith Olbermann, who got a tip on it. And so here it is, this fledgling, weekend network goes on the air and immediately breaks, what was a national story that night. So that was pretty cool stuff. But it was good. But I got a couple stories that I'd like to tell about you that are off the air, actually. And we talk about being on the air because I really enjoyed working with you, as you know. And I'll just say to folks, when you're working with somebody and they know what they're doing, And especially, obviously, in hoops and in college football, NFL. Doug really knew his stuff. And what I enjoyed was watching somebody who only had surface knowledge make the mistake of challenging Doug. Okay? Now, here's the thing. Doug loves to debate stuff, and he's very good at it, right? So you better bring your A game, especially if it's in a subject that he really knows, okay? I mean, he really knows. But it would be fun because people just, he'd knock him down to size. I mean, you saw that. But I just want to go to 2004 because we had Doug over to the house, all right? And first of all, we had expanded our driveway, put in a half court. We had a 3-point line, had all the lines on it, so forth, foul line, baseline, so forth, all right? And we've got 3 boys, and our middle son is Matt. So first of all, I'll tell you, Matt's 14 years old, okay? And he and Doug are playing Madden, right? And my son is just beating up Doug. My son is up 30 points in the fourth quarter. But my son's also 14 years old, and he's a huge Michael Vick fan. You would think, as he jokes about it today, you would think that, you might want to run the ball. You got Michael Vick. Nope. Matt is going to pass. And Matt was stubborn. Michael Vick. Well, Doug Gottlieb in the fourth quarter came back from 30 points and beat Matt, which was pretty funny at the time. The other story that's in this, though, is that I think everybody knows what an outstanding player Doug was in high school. Okay, he shared most outstanding player award in high school for the state of California with one Paul Pierce. Okay, so Doug's really good. So when he went to Oklahoma State, and I'll never understand why coaches tell kids, especially talented people, don't shoot them. We want you to distribute. We don't want you shooting the ball. Well, Doug went from, being somebody who had the confidence to score and really could shoot to, frankly, I think you'd agree, Doug, got to the point where even free throws were a challenge, right?
Yes.
But I want you to tell you that in 2004, Doug came to our house, played a little basketball out there, and they were shooting threes, right? And I swear to you that, because I confirmed this with Matt today, what was the exact number? Doug Gottlieb made 27 straight threes on an outdoor court.
That sounds like a Wendy. I'll tell you mine real quick, Chuck. Before we go, I got 2 things for you. One, you want to talk about a 26-year-old you made it moment. It was the 25th anniversary of ESPN, and we did a show from the ESPN zone in New York City. And it was me and Chuck Wilson, and we started the show. To my left was Ozzie Smith. To his right was Richard Petty, the Wizard and the King. And I'm sitting there going, what am I doing here? Right? So it was, and you had been doing it forever, knew everything about everybody. But I need a 30-second dissertation. Pete Rose passed away, right? Not so tragically. Not a good person. Sorry. That's just the reality to it. Okay? For people who believe that Pete Rose belongs in the Hall of Fame, the aficionado, the only person you need to listen to is Chuck Wilson. He's the only person I know that can quote chapter and verse the Dowd Report, knows all the truth about what has been investigated Pete Rose. So I'm going to ask you, Chuck, right now, should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame?
Well, as a player, he should not. But it will happen because people have, short memories and, some of the vices have been softened up over time and so on. Here's the thing that really bothered me about Pete Rose. Pete never really came clean. Pete Rose had a photographic memory, okay? He could quote from, at bats in games and exact situations, all right? When he writes in his book that he really can't remember the first time he placed a bet professional, I can tell you why he can't remember. Because he was a player manager. And he never wanted to admit that he bet on baseball as a player manager. As a manager, yeah, he came clean on that. I am convinced that he didn't want to say that he bet as a player manager because he thought it would hurt his chances to get into the Hall.
Yep.
And an interesting sidelight to this, Doug, about 2 months ago, I met John Dowd for the first time. He lives out in the Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And it's kind of a long story, but I went to a fundraiser for the Rotary Club, and there was a guy there. He actually lives next door to John Dowd. I went out and I met John Dowd. John Dowd really did a very honest report on Pete Rose. And for Pete to have ridiculed the individuals, the commissioner and John Dowd and the whole Three Stooges thing, and lied for years, was really, really unfortunate. I was always cast as the bad guy that, I'd always have to be the foil and say that I didn't believe Pete, because, of course, I didn't. All the evidence is just clear that he had bet. But, and that really bothered me because I was Pete Rose growing up. Sure. I loved the hustle stuff, right? And so effort, attitude are really big to me. And so it was a big disappointment. But that's the backstory. If you want to put him into the Hall because you don't think gambling's, everything's, we're putting gambling in a different category today. Okay, but just remember, this guy bet on baseball. He did it as a player manager. And, people say, well, he didn't bet against his own team. Well, every time you didn't bet on your team,
right?
Or you did bet, hey, maybe as a player, maybe you're putting your closer out there for 3 straight days, and you really shouldn't have type thing. So,
sure.
No, I would not, but, that's my feeling. He'll get in because of time changes things, but I don't believe he should.
Chuck, you taught me so much, and you were always so graceful with how you taught me. And when you didn't come back, you never took it out on me or on our friendship. And I was just honored to share a studio and learn so much from you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Hey,
and I never got to the level of preparation that I didn't have the Chuck wagon ever. You set a bar for everybody to get to that none of us could really climb.
Well, that's nice of you to say that. Let me just say this, that you wanted to keep improving, and you did, and engaging conversation and doing solo shows, something I can't do very well. And there aren't that many that do it well, and you've done it really well for quite a while. I thoroughly enjoyed playing on the air with you, going back and forth. Sometimes the third person in could be a little difficult, as we both know. But no, it was a real joy, and I just wish you the best going forward here. I'm glad that you're doing this show today this way because, people should understand how many of us really enjoyed working with you and how much you brought to the table because, man, knowledge is a cool thing. I call it informed opinion. Everybody's got opinions, but you gave us informed opinion and got better at the sports you weren't as familiar with. But on the stuff that was in your wheelhouse, there are few people better in terms of knowledge. And good stuff. So be well, my friend.
Merry Christmas, Chuck. Thanks so much for joining us. Have you heard about Trainer Games? Add this to your binge list. 10 athletes go head-to-head for a chance to win an iFit trainer contract worth $250,000, streaming on Prime Video starting January 8th. A dear, dear friend of mine truly got me my first opportunity. He'll join us next. But first, okay, stop what you're doing. Seriously, put down that wrapping paper, drop the gingerbread cookie, and tell the elf on the shelf to take 5 because Aaron's just broke the holiday universe. Full-on North Pole meltdown. They're extending the season of giving with no payments until January 1st, 2026. Yep, you don't owe a thing until next year. The best part? You can start with just a penny. And if you've got a penny jingling in your pocket, rolling around your cupboard, or stuck in the dryer with that missing sock, congratulations, you're basically Santa. Did you know that Aaron's has been taking care of communities for 70 years? They've helped customers bring home brand new, name brand furniture, appliances, electronics, and mattresses. Everything you need to make your home holiday ready and cozy. But remember, the Start With Just a Penny offer is in-store only and it won't wait. So get moving, get festive, and strut into errands like you own the place before time runs out. No payments until January 1st, 2026. 12-month minimum lease. Required finance charges accrued during no payment period. Subject to credit approval. Other terms apply. See store for details. This is the Doug Gottlieb Show. Learn to Skate USA. Kids build confidence, strength, and joy on the ice. Learn to Skate USA offers programs for skaters of all ages and abilities. Find a program near you at learnskateusa.com. This is the Doug Gottlieb Show, Fox Sports Radio. If you're just joining us, not the usual DG show, because this is going to be my last live sports radio show for the time being. Going to focus my daytime attention on the Green Bay Phoenix. My next guest is, I tell people all the time that, a real friend is somebody who thinks of you, one, in times of need, but two, will always be your kind of biggest champion. And I've taken one quasi-journalism class in my lifetime, Dan Byer, and that one was at Golden West College. But I wrote for the school newspaper at Golden West College. Guess what I wrote about?
The school newspaper at Golden West College, which I don't. Where is that?
Huntington Beach.
Huntington Beach.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. The baseball team.
Right. One would think, okay, I grew up playing sports. I love sports. I want to talk about sports. You would think I would cover sports, right? Nuh-uh. I did food critique. Take a guess why.
Nobody else would do it? I don't know.
Nope.
Why?
Free food.
Oh,
free food.
Makes sense.
Free food, because I am low budget. I'd ask anybody who knows me, like, man, open up that wallet. Now, I'm better now. Obviously, this is gonna take a little hit with this one here, but point is, I'm a free food. The fact that you ordered pizza today is great. I went to the wallet, but it was the look. Not really going to the wallet thing. But thank you for the pizza in advance.
Doug's third review of In-N-Out this week on the school newspaper.
But I made a friend in that class. He was a football player, and then he didn't play football. He went to Kansas. So remarkably, he goes to our rival school. And while at Oklahoma State, my college roommate's girlfriend was at KU. So we would go up and back there sometimes. And he would come down for a lot of the big games. Fast forward to 2002. And I had just gotten home from playing in Israel. And I was filling in at WWLS, the sports animal in Oklahoma City. And I always fill in because Jim Traber, the afternoon host, was the color voice for the Diamondbacks, and they were good then. And so he was off there lots of times in the summer, and I would fill in. And I got a call from Brandon after doing a show, and he's like, hey, Dan Steer from ESPN's trying to get a hold of you. And I didn't have a cell phone at the time. I didn't have an email address outside of like Hotmail, and I didn't have an extension at the studio because I wasn't full-time. Brandon was the guy responsible for me getting an interview to do college basketball at ESPN, and Brandon was my first producer when I got my first show, 2002 till 2003, at WWLS, the Sports Animal. He joins us now from Denver, where he covers the Broncos. He also has his own podcast network. BK, what did you write about for the school newspaper?
I didn't write for the school newspaper. I was in the football off-season program, so I was just in that class with you. I think I might have written one article as like part of an assignment, but I didn't get published in the school newspaper. And I had been writing in Dallas as a kid and was published in the Dallas Morning News, where I would write articles about wrestling tournaments that I was in. So I wouldn't quote myself, but I would quote my teammates and my coach, and would write features about some of my friends that played football and went on to play college football. But yeah, I didn't write at Golden West. I did know, though, that when I met you, that, you know, one day you would work at every single major sports radio network and you know, be on March Madness coverage with Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith and Ernie Johnson and Greg Gumbel. So I got that sense when we were fresh. I guess I was a freshman, you were a sophomore, but I was 18, 19, you were 19, 20. I was like, oh, this guy's going to be something.
my strongest memory of our show at night, because I did the middle of the day show with Mark Rogers, right, the Mod Squad, and then we had the nightly. We did a basketball show at night. Remember, guys, we did a basketball show in Oklahoma City at night in 2002. Now, right now, a basketball show at night in Oklahoma City is great. Back then, there were only 3 sports covered in Oklahoma City radio: football, spring football, and recruiting. And really, it was OU football, spring football, and recruiting.
Can I guess your strongest memory? Because it
Lamar Odom.
The scent of marijuana from Lamar Odom.
Brandon has the unique ability to know everybody and to get into any room. There's never been an event that I've gone to that he wasn't able to get into, usually before I could. And I was invited and had a ticket, and oftentimes he did not. So he had. I don't even know how you knew Lamar Odom, but Lamar Odom was early on in the NBA. He was on my radio show, and he could not have possibly been more high. Otherwise, he would have been in a coma. That's my strongest memory.
What's weird is if I were to guess how I knew Lamar Odom, it'd be through a friend who I met after working at the Sports Animal, which why it makes less sense. So it had to be through a third party, somebody that knew him along the way, because my friend Jonathan Grunfast, who I worked with at Sirius, when you went on to ESPN full-time, I took a job at Sirius before it was Sirius XM as it was getting off the ground, and my buddy Jonathan, who worked there and at WFAN, was the manager at Rhode Island, and Lamar had to sit out that first year, so he'd drive him back to Queens. So I don't know how we got Lamar Odom on. That's one that I could rack my brain for hours, and I'm not really sure, but it's certainly the most memorable. That, and I remember playing a lot of pickup basketball, and this guy tried to tell us he played at Portland or Portland State, and of course we did the research. He didn't, and he kept calling you a radio DJ, and then you hit a 3 to win the game, and you'd just gotten back from playing in Europe, and you said, and he's like, okay, come on, Mr. DJ, and you hit the shot. I sound like Chuck Wilson now telling these glory day stories, but you hit the shot to keep winning, or maybe end the day, and you go, and professional basketball player, MFer, check the resume. I was like, that's a good line. You said, check the resume, MFer. I was like, that's a good line.
Yeah, most times now I just do, hey, bud, this is the lowest point of my basketball career, the high point of yours. let's just get this thing over with. Was that at the Temple? We played a lot of pickup basketball at the Temple in Oklahoma
That might
City.
have been at the church where we played with Kelly Gregg, the longtime nose tackle for the Ravens with his brother. So I think that was at the church. We had about 3 runs. We had one at the Temple where that was not much fun for you except for cardio. And then we had a couple church runs. Mark Rogers had us in one. And, that was definitely at the church. That was not at the Temple.
The church run was where I met my first bookie. And I actually asked you, why are they giving that guy money? They're like, he's a bookie. I was like, they exist in real life? He's like, yeah, there's a bookie everywhere. I had no idea.
Well, then you moved to the East Coast, and they really existed everywhere, and now they're just on your phone.
Correct. Listen, we got to run. I wanted to have you on to tell you I appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you because you did help me get my first radio job, and then when you went to CBS and I went up there to interview at CBS Sports Radio, you told me not to take the job and to stay in Denver. I took it anyway, but the second day I was there, I called to try to get my old job back, moved back 11 weeks later, and the rest is history. Was with my girlfriend, now wife. We've got 3 kids. So thank you for that, and thanks for always being a good friend. And you also have the biggest Green Bay Phoenix fan in the state of Colorado in my 7-year-old Leo, who went to Allen Fieldhouse, a lifelong Jayhawks fan because of his dad, because it's my alma mater, and left a fan of the opposition, which almost never happens, I have to think, when a kid goes to a school or goes to Lawrence to watch a game at Allen Fieldhouse. So he's always asking how you're doing, and he's very excited that you are 6-7 right now. So I said there's going to be a lot more wins than that, though, so it's not going to last long.
It's funny. When I walked out of Allen Fieldhouse, I put on a Kansas sweatshirt. I was a much bigger fan of them than I was of my team afterwards. BK, I love you. Say hi to your lovely bride and your kids, and tell Leo we need his cheering. We take on Campbell on Tuesday. Thanks for joining me.
Absolutely. Happy Hanukkah. Happy holidays.
Happy Hanukkah to you. Let me get you an update. Here's Dan Byer.
Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua fined $25,000 by the NFL for his criticism of the officials in the league this week. Seahawks linebacker Derek Hall has been suspended 1 game after he stepped on the leg of Rams lineman Kevin Dotson during last night's game. The NFL called it an act of unnecessary roughness and unsportsmanlike conduct. He'll miss Week 17 against the Panthers. Sesame Street helped raise all of us. Now it's our turn. Donate this holiday season at sesame.org because the world needs sesame and sesame needs you. Alabama and Oklahoma tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern Time in the first-round playoff game of the college football playoff. Winner gets Indiana in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day. Myrtle Beach Bowl, Western Michigan top Kennesaw State today by a score of 41-6. Gasparilla Bowl, NC State's up on Memphis 24-0 as they near halftime there. The Angels and the family of late pitcher Tyler Skaggs reached a settlement shortly before the jury was going to reach a verdict in the $118 million lawsuit brought against the team. Doug, back to you.
For over 40 years, Tire Rack's been helping customers find the right tires for how, what, and where they drive. Ship fast and free, backed by free road hazard protection with convenient installation options like mobile tire installation. TireRack.com. It's the way tire buying should be. It's time now for our Tire Rack play of the day from the Seahawks Radio Network.
Sam empties the backfield. Motion back inside is Barner. Darnold has time. Looks inside. It's caught. Touchdown. Make an extra point. Make a conversion. I don't care what it is. The Seahawks win the game again on the last play of the game.
What a play. What a game. What a moment for the 12th man. This is the Doug Gottlieb Show on Fox Sports Radio. I've been here for 8 years. When I showed up, I was given a gift of a great young producer. I want to talk to that, but also the number one thing it takes to make it in this business. Next on the Doug Gottlieb Show. Boom! What up, America? Doug Gottlieb Show, Fox Sports Radio.
What makes my show unique is that I played sports at a high level and that I cover sports at the highest level for over 15 years. And so it gives a different kind of honest perspective. Don't ask me a question to which you don't want the answer to.
It could have gone legit.
I can't think of anybody who's been more impactful in the game.
Drop the mic. Jordan out.
This is the Doug Gottlieb Show on Fox Sports Radio.
Have you heard about the trainer games? Add this to your binge list. 10 athletes go head-to-head for a chance to win an iFit trainer contract worth $250,000. Streaming live on Prime Video starting January 8th. What's it take to make it? Well, you got to have work ethic. You got to be willing to work when other people are not. That's really it. I was very fortunate to not have to grind the way that Dan Byer did early on coming up, because being a former college basketball player and a fairly notable one, I got a really good shot in Oklahoma City, making way more money than you normally do in your first radio show. And then I was on like a rocket ship to go to ESPN a year later. But I do think that it's, when you do a radio show, a TV show, when you do anything, now coaching a college basketball team, staff is everything. Surrounding yourself with really good people. I came here 8 years ago. Ryan Musick was my producer. I didn't know Ryan from Adam. What do you remember, Ryan, about when we first started linking up and working?
I will tell you, Doug, it was a great pleasure to get to work with you and launch the show. And one of my favorite things about you was after being your producer and only knowing you for about 3 months, you traveled to Israel to coach the Jewish national team, and you asked if I could drop you off at the airport. I said, no problem. That's not an issue. And then as we arrived at the Burbank airport, you said, all right, here's my Tesla, and have fun for the next 3 months. And I was like, okay, I guess I have myself a brand new Tesla for the next month or so while you were in Israel.
Yeah,
so,
when I got back, you said it shakes at 120. I was like, dude, easy now.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, it shakes at 120. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, no, me either. I thought Elon had this whole thing figured out with aerodynamics and rocket ships. But, hey, no, listen, Doug, it was nothing but a pleasure. And obviously the great people of Green Bay have a good one, and know that you'll only do great things as you lean into this full-time pursuit and building a great program.
Here's the big question we want to ask, okay? You're now Colin's producer. Do you take his picks as we do and bet the opposite? Do you fade all of his picks in his Blazing Five? If so, you would be a multimillionaire right now for this year.
Well, Doug, the fact that I am still Colin's producer, and if that math checks out, probably not actually the case. It's kind of like if you'd won the Powerball, you'd probably never see me again. So,
well, listen, from humble beginnings, you've become a star. From CSUN as a volleyball player to my producer, now living in Chicago, living the high life, doing volume stuff and Colin stuff. Congratulations on everything, and thanks for joining me, and thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you, Doug.
It's Doug Gottlieb Show here on Fox Sports Radio. Coming up next, there's one individual human being that's changed the trajectory of my life in sports radio more than anyone else. Anyone else. I'm going to say thank you. Yeah, thank you. And we'll go down memory lane of how I got started in this racket. That's upcoming next, the Doug Gottlieb Show. It's the final show on Fox Sports Radio.
And Green Bay's going to have a good team this year.
What you guys built, you and Sean together, is amazing, especially in the context of this was one of the worst franchises in all of professional sports before you arrived.
Yeah.
How'd you build that?
You embrace challenges, and you're not afraid of failure. And not afraid of failure just means, man, we're going to do hard stuff, and by doing hard stuff, you know that you're going to face disappointment and failure, and you're not going to get what you want at times, but you're going to use that as an opportunity to get stronger and stronger, and if you do things the right way, good things are going to happen. And we do it with people that you love, man. Each and every day, you just wake up with more and more of this commitment to each other, like, man, I'm going to bust my ass because I don't want to let you down, right? And we've set this goal together, and we're going to go accomplish something great, right? And so that was truly our mindset when we came here in 2006, and Sean went out and, like, hand-selected those guys because he knew it was going to take a special group of guys. Like, New Orleans was not the most attractive place to come to in 2006, right? 6 months post-Katrina, city's devastated, like, facilities devastated. We're going to go and, like, camp out in Jackson, Mississippi for 5 weeks and do training camp there. And the most miserable training camp you've ever seen, like, been a part of in your life, right? I mean, it was like Junction Boys, like Bear Bryant back in the day, you know? Like, sticker burrs on the grass field, I mean, like, just one of those moments where it's like, man, this sucks. And guess what? Like, we're going to get through it, and we're going to be stronger because of it, and this is going to allow us to get to where we want to get to.
In all of the moments of Super Bowl success, you holding up at the time was Braylon 1? How old was your son at the time?
Braylon was
1?
Yeah, he's 16 now.
But you holding him up, the ticker tape is falling. Like, it was, as a dad, it was an emotional moment. 15 years later, what feelings do you have when you think back to that Super Bowl?
I mean, I have I have so many incredible, like, just feelings and emotions about that moment because it was, it was this period of time where, like, man, yeah, we got there in 2006, and we knew what a daunting task it was ahead of us, and we knew all that the city still had to overcome, and we knew what a big part of that we were as a team too, right? And just, like, creating this tight-knit fabric between team and fan base and Who Dat Nation. And, like, so to be up there on the trophy stand with the Lombardi Trophy, with my son Balin, and you're just sitting there looking at your teammates like, man, we did it. And look at the fan base and, like, the tears in everyone's eyes and, like, the way that our fans supported us every step of the way and just feeling like we were so in this together, And
But there's also the personal part for you, right? With how the Chargers did you, the injury, the fact that people didn't think you'd ever be close to what you were previously or ever play again, right? Yeah. And so many people said no.
Yeah.
And then to take that and then you combine with the team.
I would call it was a fulfillment of a calling. Because, like, truly coming to New Orleans was a calling. It was a calling from God. Like, my wife and I looking at each other at a moment with Sean Payton in the car when he's driving us around town in 2006, and we're just, like, staring at a tugboat in the middle of the road that literally was preventing us from passing, and Sean was lost and he's getting frazzled, and all of a sudden, like, I'm looking at in his mind, he's like, gosh, I don't want to show him this stuff because they won't want to come here. And in reality, it was my wife and I looking at each other saying, we belong here. Like, this is about the resurrection of one of America's greatest cities, and we get a chance to be a part of it. So it's so much more than just football. And I think that just gave us a great sense of gratitude, too, for every step of the way in accomplishing that Super Bowl victory.
What up, America? Doug Gottlieb Show, Fox Sports Radio. What makes my show unique is that I played sports at a high level and that I cover sports at the highest level for over 15 years. And so it gives a different kind of honest perspective. Don't ask me a question to which you don't want the answer to.
It could have gone legit.
I can't think of anybody who's been more impactful in the game.
Drop the mic. Jordan out.
My connection with my listening audience is unique because I'm credible, I have strong opinions. We connect with our audience outside of just terrestrial using podcast, using social media.
At Gottlieb Show is the Twitter handle.
We also use foxsportsradio.com, so you can get our audio wherever you are. So I think that's a win.
We'll turn our attention to the NFL. He never was an elite quarterback.
That crossed the line? What line?
He's arguably the greatest running quarterback ever.
A station should syndicate my show because you get those strong opinions on the topics of the day, plus you get that credibility and relationship with people in the sports world.
We're like 24 hours later, and I'm still buzzing from watching that. That is why
Los Angeles Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua was fined $25,000 by the NFL today for his criticism of the officiating in the league. Nacua criticized the officials following last night's overtime loss to the Seahawks, also made comments critical of the officials earlier this week. Seahawks linebacker Derek Hall suspended one game for stepping on the leg of Rams lineman Kevin Dotson during last night's contest. Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice out against the Titans. Steelers will not have edge rusher T.J. Watt against the Lions, while the Bills are set to sign free agent pass rusher Matthew Judon. First round game of the college football playoff is at 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight. Oklahoma taking on Alabama. Winner gets Indiana in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day. Western Michigan topped Kennesaw State earlier today in the Myrtle Beach Bowl 41-6. NC State leads Memphis 24-7. 2 minutes to go until halftime. Hawks guard Trae Young out tonight against the San Antonio Spurs. I'm Dan Beyer.
Hey, what up with your Doug Gottlieb Show, Fox Sports Radio. Hope you're having a great day. We're coming to you live one last time from Los Angeles, California. Have you heard about Trainer Games? Add this to your binge list. 10 athletes go head-to-head for a chance to win an iFit Trainer contract worth $250,000, streaming on Prime Video starting January 8th. If you're just joining us and you hadn't heard, it's going to be my last live sports radio show for the time being. Going to take a little break from this, and I'll still do a podcast. Just do it, off business hours. Do it from my house, and that's been really successful, really well received, and I love the long form aspect of it. And I'll get into that probably sometime here this hour. So we got 1 hour left, and Jason Stewart's like, dude, this is your radio life. So I am kind of going out of chronological order a little bit, and I do want to explain why sports radio means so much to me. I think I'll do it now. My dad died 11 years ago, and like anyone's dad, I would think, again, all I know is mine, he was complicated. There are things that were great, there were things that weren't. But we shared a love of sports, obviously basketball specifically, but my dad, we loved sports. We'd get up every morning, and we had the Orange County Register, the LA Times Orange County. He had the New York Post delivered to our house, even though it was 3 days late, and USA Today. And then for that short period of time, wonderful time, the National Sports Daily. Do you guys remember that? And we'd have the newspapers out, and we'd pass them around, and we'd look at box scores and talk sports. That's what we did for breakfast. And when we were in the car. And then it became sports radio. And to be on ESPN radio and to hear the pride in your father's voice is something that I can't quite describe, but I think you all can hopefully understand, right? Hopefully understand. And it was always amazing to me because my dad, he's that classic like Jewish parent where it was like, well, maybe one day you'll have a show as big as Collins. Like, I have my own show on ESPN Radio. Like, I'm doing okay. It was never quite enough. So there was always hey, that's great, but there's still more out there for you. When I was at CBS Sports Radio, I took the job. 2 reasons. One, I wanted to do the Final Four, and I wanted to move back to California. My dad had a bout with cancer, with skin cancer. And I also thought I wanted to have a life. And I'll never forget, ESPN had offered me a 5-year guaranteed contract worth way more. Like, it was really interesting how they do business. They tell you 6 months in advance they want to re-up you. Like 3 months in advance, they lowball you. And then it comes down the last wire, and finally they get to the number that they should have got to originally. So they got to the right number. There was just some things missing in it that I didn't like. And then I would have had to, I was at Foxwoods Casino. Right? There's a couple big casinos in Connecticut. Foxwoods is the lesser known of the two. And husbands and wives, and we all went out. The women were going to a Sarah McLachlan concert. The guys were just going to go and throw the dice, have a good time. And I'm walking around the casino with one of my buddies, and he was like, man, coach your girls in soccer, first time ever. That was awesome. You should do it next year. And I was thinking to myself that I was doing 4 to 7 radio, and for 5 months out of the year, I'd turn off the radio, and I'd walk down the hallway, I'd put on makeup and a tie, and then I'd do TV until 1 a.m. It was great money, but my kids were going to school age, and I would literally never see them for 5 months. And I wouldn't be there in the afternoon for, 11 months, 12 months of the year. So when I took the CBS deal, the idea was it was 12 to 3 radio in California. I would do a nighttime TV show at 9 at night. I'd have every afternoon with my kids. Didn't work out as great as I thought it would work out. And 2 years in, they moved me back to New York, where I did my show. It was simulcast, CBS TV, CBS Sports Network, and CBS Radio. But my dad was only alive for those last, I think, 4 months. And I was furious that they made me move. Right? The conversation with my boss, which I will never forgive him for, was, hey, could I just get 6 more months out here? It's not great. It's spread to his brain. And my boss said, our business with you is in New York. We're giving you more money to move to New York. But it ended up being a blessing because my dad saw me every day for those 4 months when I was on TV. And then we talk on the way home every night, except for the night he passed. And him seeing me reinstilled something which I know to be true. Radio, real talk radio, is a relationship. The people that are really good at it, you know about their wives, their kids, their lives, what they do on the weekend, not just sports stuff. And many of you have been with me for this ride the whole time. And I appreciate you. And we are friends. We just have never met in person. Like, there's a kid from the state of Wisconsin who I wanted really, really bad. He went to a Power 4 school. Power 4 school. And I'm friends with the dad, but the dad we didn't know each other, but we knew each other because he'd listened to me on air for years. We're still friends now. He turned us down, went to a bigger school. It's all good. But it's because radio is a relationship. And relationships are what business is about. You're never going to get in unless somebody sticks their neck out for you. You're just not. Plenty of guys that can talk sports. When I was at Oklahoma State, I wanted to be on the Jim Rome show. But Rome was very sporadic. So on ESPN Radio, the only show that would constantly book me was Todd Wright all night. Todd Wright all night. And I was the college basketball contributor. Todd's show was on overnight. It was outstanding. And my first shot at national sports radio was my first year out of college. I was at home in between things. It was after I played in Russia for a year, and 9/11 happened, so everything got pushed back overseas. And I got a call from our next guest who invited me to come up to Bristol, Connecticut, and host Todd Wright's show for 2 nights because Todd didn't want to fly to Bristol, and it was the first weekend of sports being back after 9/11. By the way, that first show, Dan Byer, was the day that Tom Brady had to play because Drew Bledsoe got knocked out by the Jets. I was watching the game at Sliders, which is a bar about 2 miles from Bristol, from ESPN. And all the Pats fans were going, and Jets fans were going crazy. And on air that night, this is mid-November, okay? Mid-November in 2001, I said the Pats season is done because Tom Brady, who couldn't even win the job full-time at Michigan, is now their savior. Oops. Thank God there wasn't freezing cold takes then.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. The woman who stuck her neck out for me was Todd Wright's producer. She became my producer, executive producer, my boss, my work wife. Louise Cornetta joins us now on the Doug Gottlieb Show on Fox Sports Radio. Louise, how are you?
Doug Gottlieb, one of my favorite humans. I am great, and I'm enjoying reminiscing and hearing of the stories. You have a better memory than I do, because I forgot about the Tom Brady bit. You'd think I would remember that, being a Bostonian. But yes, I remember we wanted you to come and join us shortly after, you were our college basketball expert for when you were playing, but you had bigger dreams and wanted to continue playing basketball. So off you went to Russia and other places, and we were glad when you came back and you said, I'm ready. And yes, we had you fill in, and wasn't long before we paired you with people like Chuck Wilson and other veterans on ESPN Radio. But you were so good, we had to give you your own show. The Doug Gottlieb Show was born.
Well, it wasn't at first the Doug Gottlieb Show, remember? Okay, so it was game night for 3 years, 03 to 06, and then it was the Pulse, and the Pulse was 7 to 10 at night, 7 to 10 at night, and then it became the Pulse with Doug Gottlieb, and then I believe it was 2008, Scott Mesteller came to my house and said, how'd you like to have the show named after you and do 4 to 7? And I said, let's do it. Let's roll.
Well, I have some memories, and I was thinking about you a lot. And one of the memories I have is there's a lot of qualities about you that I admire. One of them is your work ethic. You are certainly the son of a coach, because you were very coachable on air. You listened and were eager to learn. But I remember your work ethic being so strong that, like you were saying, you would do radio, then go to television. But I remember Hayes being born. He was born during March Madness, right? And you went to the hospital and then raced to get to be on TV that night because you didn't want to miss it. And that was you. You would work yourself to the bone. And another quality I remember about you and that you still have is your fearlessness. And it is probably the quality I admire the most about you. You were not afraid to ask the tough questions. I remember a very cantankerous interview with the late Tommy Lasorda. Sticks out in my mind. I don't even remember what it was about, but you were not afraid to ask a tough question where other people wouldn't. But also, when controversy would find you, you were not shy to say, hey, here's what happened. Let me explain. You would, meet it head on. Most people would try and hide, not you. And I think that's an incredibly admirable quality.
I get my favorite story. It's a sales story. You guys ready for this one? This is a good one. So the way it worked at ESPN, Louise would come in and she'd say, hey, sales wants to know if you'll do a KFC read. And I said, I don't know, Louise. I'm doing this big P90X campaign. If I do KFC, I don't know if that works. And you're like, look, ads don't run back to back. I said, how about this? KFC at the time had grilled chicken. So I said, I'll do it. Can we do something about grilled chicken? Like, I'll see what I can do. So that's like, I don't know, 3 months later, I get a script. And basically it's like, read this. So I read it, and I'm doing the P90X campaign. And back then we had a screen with text messages, the text line, right? And I'll never forget, I'm at a break, and we don't hear everything that's running. But apparently back to back was the KFC ad, which was for the Double Down. Now, for people who don't remember the double down was a piece of fried chicken, another piece of fried chicken, 2 pieces of bacon and cheese, and a breadless sandwich, which was a cardiologist's dream. Okay, but if you're trying to do P90X, a nightmare. And at the end, sales must have gotten to put it in, or try it grilled like I like it, right? And when I tell you I got lit up on the text line from people calling me a hypocrite and whatever, it was, and no, I did not leak the P90X pictures to Sports by Brooks. That did not happen. Okay, did not. Those were internal pictures that somebody leaked. Louise, we got to go. As you know, I do have clock issues constantly.
Yes. Okay. Well, then I'm going to jump in for 30 seconds,
Go.
real quick. The last thing I want to say is I remember a pivotal moment in your career was you had just become a dad and you were trying whether to be like the cool young guy on the air or the dad. And I said, you got to find out who your authentic self is. And you did. You said, I'm a dad. And you went all in. And I think because you figured out who your authentic self is, that really has carried you well on the air. And I am so proud of you for being your authentic self and saying, I want to coach. And you're following your dreams. Do what you have shared this day with you.
Louise, you mean the world to me. You're following your dreams as well as you're singing and acting in Florida. And I saw your show last year. It's awesome.
Thank you.
It's with every ounce of my soul. I thank you. I thank you. You
made it a pleasure.
No. You changed my life forever. You know, you don't get to ESPN unless somebody goes in and says, hire this guy. And you and Keith Karowski did it. And I appreciate it.
You made me proud. You always do. All right. We'll talk soon, my friend.
All right. Love you, Louise. Thanks so much.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Have you heard about Trainer Games? Add this to the binge list. 10 athletes go head-to-head for a chance to win an iFit trainer contract worth $250,000, streaming on Prime Video starting January 8th. All right, coming up next. I'll keep it together. Coming up next. There's Ramos going to join us. All right, we'll talk some Ramos, some Fox Sports Radio, plus my boy Adam Klug, who was my producer at ESPN and for every year at CBS as well. I moved his family back and forth across the country two different times, but a dear friend who's been with me for this journey. If you want your sports updates, you'll get one upcoming 1:30. But in the meantime, I truly appreciate you listening for all of these years. And coming up next, we'll get into what these 8 years have been like, all the hijinks, all the crazy off-air stories, all the late El Pollo Loco orders as well that we had to run to during the break. That's upcoming next. But first, okay, stop what you're doing. Seriously. Put down the wrapping paper, drop the gingerbread cookie, and tell the elf on the shelf to take 5. Because Aaron's just broke the holiday universe, full-on North Pole meltdown. They're extending the season of giving with no payment until January 1st, 2026. Yep, you don't owe a thing until next year. The best part? You can start with just 1 penny. If you've got a penny jingling in your pocket, rolling around your cupboard, or stuck in the dryer with that missing sock, congratulations, you're basically Santa. You know, Aaron's has been taking care of communities for 70 years. They've helped customers bring in brand new, name brand furniture, appliances, electronics, and mattresses, everything you need to make your home holiday ready and cozy. But remember, the start with just a penny offer is in-store only, and it won't wait. So get moving, get festive, and strut into Aaron's like you own the place before time runs out. No payments required until January 1st, 2026. 12-month minimum lease required. Finance charges accrue during no payment period. Subject to credit approval. Other terms apply. See store for details. Oh, this is Nick Wright, who is president of the LeBron 2024 GOAT campaign. All right, presenting his case in what he believes no one actually wants to say about Michael Jordan.
Before Scottie Pippen got there, a total and complete loser. Not just never got out of the first round, not just 1-9 in the playoffs, never even above 500 in the regular season. Can I have point number 2, please? Larry Bird, The best player when he walked into the league. You know how many times Michael beat Larry in the playoffs? I don't mean in a series. I mean in a single playoff game. The answer to that is 0. But wait, there's more. In Jordan's entire career, there were 3 super teams in the East. The Celtics, the Pistons, and the Magic. His career playoff series record against those 3 teams, 2-6. But against everybody else, 23-1. Speaking of the East, which Chris Broussard mentioned in regards to LeBron James, once the Pistons were gone, do you know how many teams in the East, Jordan's entire title run, had more than one Hall of Famer? 1. The team Michael was on. He had Pippen, and then he had Pippen and Rodman. And then the last point Broussard loves to make, which is we pretend Jordan's career was 6 years long. Everyone ate on Michael's watch. We just pretend it didn't happen. Can we show guys who won rings in years Michael Jordan played? Well, Larry won, Kareem won, Magic won, Isaiah won, Hakeem won, Drexler won, Shaq won, Kobe won, David Robinson, Tim Duncan won. I'm not even including the years Michael retired.
He's gotten to that point to where he thinks he's making really good points, but he's talking like a guy in present tense talking about past day. This is the mistake we make in politics, right? It's what I really don't like about politics. I understand that we have beliefs that we write down, that are in journals, that are part of our upbringing. But do you believe the exact same thing now as you believed 20 years ago? And the answer is probably not. Like, it's one of the things like 30 years ago, you were in the Senate and you voted for like, yeah, okay, but let me contextualize. But no, it doesn't matter. Yes, it actually does. Okay. When Jordan first got to the league, we also have to remember there are far fewer teams than there are now. Okay. What was curiously omitted is, and this is where Nick, he's just not old enough to know. Right? He just doesn't have that database. Like, go back to the 80s, and what did he leave out? Like, he's talking about the dominant teams in the East. He left out the Philadelphia 76ers, who won a title and lost in the finals in the 80s as well. They had Dr. J and Bobby Jones and that whole team. And then later they added Charles Barkley. They weren't great. Dr. J was over the hill then. Okay? He's not discussing. People forget the Atlanta Hawks had Dominique Wilkins, who was a Hall of Famer, and Doc Rivers and other guys. They were never a great playoff team, but they were kind of like the Houston Rockets, where they won a lot of regular season games, scored a lot of points, but could never beat the Celtics or the Pistons or the Sixers or the legit teams. I mean, there were so many fewer teams that when you were buried at the bottom, you were buried at the bottom. By the way, there's no mention of the Cleveland Cavaliers, who were they were a really good team, but they could never get past the Bulls, right? Like, he didn't mention that in 88-89, the Cleveland Cavaliers won 57 regular season games. They had a loaded roster. And that team would stay together for a couple of years. Could never get past them. The East was better than the West. There weren't as many watered-down teams. Michael Jordan was the greatest scorer in the league, was the best defender in the league. He had a crummy team. And let's not act like when they added Scottie Pippen, all of a sudden they became a winner. Scottie Pippen was an NAA player that it took him about 4 or 5 years to shed the label of being soft. Like, we're simply going back and seeing The Last Dance and going, oh, well, he played with Scottie Pippen, who's a Hall of Famer. Like, Scottie Pippen was never in the discussion of being in the Hall of Fame until they started winning multiple championships. And he had one good year when Jordan retired, and then the thing started to fall apart. Like, the league was completely different. Completely different. He walked into a disaster of a franchise. There weren't the bottom feeder teams trying to be bad the way that teams try and be bad nowadays. You had to try and be good. The Bulls were not. And no, they didn't win right away. He also missed his entire second year. That's when he played those same Celtics in the playoffs and had 44 and 63 in back-to-back games. It was arguably the best Celtics team ever that won like 66 games and marched through and won an NBA championship. You know? And he's doing it because he's trying to, on some way, elevate LeBron James. Like, okay. They had the great run in his first finals run with Cleveland was amazing. But that's really more what the East was about then. The East was about one guy getting hot, carrying his team. That's what happened with Allen Iverson. The East has been awful. And then in addition to the East being bad, with the exception of the Heat one year when they won a title, he joined the Heat, and then he took the best player from the Toronto Raptors, combined with the best player from the Heat and his services, and then eventually they got Ray Allen as well. Dude, look, what are we even talking about here? Boom! What up, America? Starts with the first glide. Through Learn to Skate USA, kids build confidence, strength, and joy the ice. Learn to Skate USA programs skaters of all ages and abilities. Find a program near you at learntosskateusa.com. So why stop doing this? Because it's super fun. It really is. Like, I haven't actually worked. I used to do this all the time when I go and speak to little kids at camp. Like, hey, how many of you guys love sports? How many of you guys talk about sports? How many of you guys get paid to talk about sports? And I'm like the only one with my hand up. It's stuff. So why? And I think some of it's more perception, right? Like, the reality is my basketball team is better this year. And yeah, I hired a personal assistant. I've done some things to adjust my schedule a little bit, but can it be done? Of course it can be done. There's a little bit of that Chris Rock, you can drive your car with your foot, but that don't make it a good idea, right? So you can do it. Doesn't make the bigger thing though is you gotta have a life, right? You gotta have a life, and I'm still gonna be doing podcasts. I'll still be doing. I don't know what to do with myself when when you're just sitting around at home. And we have the podcast all set up. It's been doing well, and we'll adjust some things, and you'll be able to see it on YouTube as well. But the point is that live sports radio is a incredible passion of mine, but my dream has always been to be a head coach of Division I men's basketball. And I don't want to, having gotten this opportunity, to look back and go, what if in year 2 I hadn't taken a shot at seeing what it's like to not do a live show every day. I'll tell you, there's a guy who we used to work with who walked away from this place. And he did so because he wanted to coach. He also wanted to see, I think, his daughter and son go to high school and be kind of a part of that process. And when you work, especially when you're in production in sports radio, you work a lot. You do a lot more than on-air talent does. You make less money. You work way harder. You're way more important. John Ramos is that guy. He's also, he walked away from Fox Sports Radio to work at his daughter's high school, but also coach softball, and he's coached baseball for his son as well. I want to be a dad. Ramos, how are you?
I'm good, Doug. How are you doing?
I'm good. We won a game the other night. Got a little chance, did some recruiting, got some sunshine, headed back for one more game here before break. All good. All good.
Yes. By the way, it's hard to follow somebody who you tell them that you changed their lives. So it's hard to follow that person. Like, you changed my life. And up next, John Ramos. So
sorry about that, Ramos.
It's okay.
You changed my life as well, Ramos. There you go.
Good.
There you go.
That's good to know.
There you go. All part of the promise.
Yes.
The best part about Ramos is, and it's something that I've come to try and do even in my job now. And it's different when it's -10 outside and we lost a lot of games last year. I never saw you in a bad mood. How did you maintain that level of joy?
I don't know. You know what's funny is even here at the high school, the teachers will go by and be like, "You're always so happy. Why is that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I think it's just the way I am. I've always been that way since I was a kid. Never really had anything to be angry about." So I enjoyed doing radio for all the years I did it. I enjoy being here at the high school around the students and coaching softball, which this year I'm moving up to varsity assistant. You should be proud of me, Doug. I moved up from JV to varsity assistant this year coming up. And guess what? I'm teaching broadcasting and media and stuff. And so today, the students gave me a plaque and stuff like that, teacher and stuff. So it's been really great. And I know for you, it's going to be wonderful as well.
Does that plaque say Sleepy John Ramos on it, like with the White House?
It says, wake up.
John, you know why we had you on, right?
Because you thought I was one of the greatest technical directors you've ever had?
Yeah, sure. That and because we all your laugh is infectious. It's literally
You
infectious.
missed it, right? Just a little bit. You missed the laugh, right?
Not a little bit, a lot.
Okay.
A lot.
Yeah. They get it here, but it's during lunchtime and nobody can hear it. So
and nobody can hear
You know, there's been a lot of great things said about Doug in this last 90 minutes or so. But I think John can attest to this. When someone says, like, Doug will take the shirt off his back for you, it's true because it actually happened with John Ramos one time. You wore a Nike. Do you still have it, John?
I still have that shirt, Doug. Every time I put it on, I'm like, I hope I can't take a picture with it because then Doug will be like, hey, that's the shirt I gave Ramos.
Do you remember this? You were wearing a Nike polo. John goes, I like that shirt. And I don't know what happened, but you just took it off and gave it to him. Yes.
He did.
Literally took the shirt off your back.
Why not?
Yes.
Don't just say it, live it. Don't just say it, live
John
it.
wore it the next day without washing it as well. It was crazy.
John, one last thing. Walking away from radio to pursue coaching, worth it?
I miss radio a lot. I really do. It was my life, my career for 30 years. It just was so much fun. I just heard you say it doesn't even feel like you're working. It doesn't. And so, yes, I do miss it. But I enjoy where I'm at right now. I enjoy coaching. I enjoy, just like you're going to, we're already doing it, but just going to kind of pull that 100% into it. And I think the boys or the grown young adults, however you want to call them in college, are going to advance from you for that. So,
Ramos, you're the best. We love you here. We miss you. I truly appreciate all those times of making us just feel good when it wasn't always a great day. You're the best, man. Thanks for being our guest.
Doug, thank you for those 8 years, man. It was great, and just keep up the great work. I'm going to keep following you as I do on Instagram and all the different social media places, and can't wait to see you guys get into the NCAA tournament at some point.
You're from your lips to God's ears.
Yes.
Not breaking news, not official, but we're bringing the Phoenix back to Southern California next year. Thanks so much, John.
All right. Okay, Doug. Have a good one.
Let me get you to Dan Byer for a quick update of what's really going on in sports, Danny.
Yeah, Doug, for the first time in the 8 years at Fox Sports Radio, we start off with high school softball. South Pass High has promoted John Ramos from junior varsity to assistant varsity coach. That news just in to Fox Sports Radio. College football tonight, it's Alabama against Oklahoma in a college football playoff first-round game. Kickoff from Norman, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Indiana awaits the winner of this one in the Rose Bowl that'll take place on New Year's Day. Just getting underway in the second half of the Gasparilla Bowl. NC State's all over Memphis 31-7. Western Michigan routed Kennesaw State to win the Myrtle Beach Bowl 41-6. Sesame Street helped raise all of us. Now it's our turn. Donate this holiday season at sesame.org because the world needs sesame and sesame needs you. The NFL fined Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua $25,000 for his criticism of the officials earlier this week and following last night's overtime loss to the Seahawks. Chiefs ruled out wide receiver Rashee Rice against the Titans. The Steelers will not have edge rusher TJ Watt against the Lions. Doug, back to you.
It's Doug Gottlieb Show here on Fox Sports Radio. This show's been on 3 different networks. And my producer, my final year at ESPN, eventually joined me at CBS Sports Radio for all 5 years we were there. He now runs a radio station in San Diego, the Padres radio station in San Diego. His name's Adam Klug. He joins us now here on Fox Sports Radio. Krueger, how are you?
I'm doing great, Doug. How are you?
I'm good. I'm getting nostalgic. One, because I'm old, and two, because I'm not going to be doing live afternoon drive, which you and I did together for 6 hours and took so seriously. I think what's most interesting is Jason he actually has no idea about how my approach has changed and how differently he and I work together as opposed to you and I work together in setting up topics. So Jason basically lays out the topics, and I just kind of go with it. I trust him. He's got good instincts. He knows. And not that you don't, but you used to pitch him to me. And guys, I'm telling you, we had knockdown, drag him out arguments. Did we not?
We absolutely did. Those are some of the most fun times, though. Like, anytime we would get into it, and look, we would get heated sometimes, and I would remind myself, this is our job, right? We're just discussing what kind of sports to talk about on the radio. What could be better than that?
And I'm going to apologize for the line that it was probably once a year I would say the line.
It's the Doug Gottlieb show.
Correct. Is that the douchiest thing you can say all the time? No, that's not what we should do. We should do this. That's Krueger. We should do this, and here's why, and here's what we're going to talk about. And I said, that's great. But you know what the show's called? You're like, no, what's the show called?
This is the Doug Gottlieb Show on Fox Sports Radio.
Damn right it is. And don't you forget it. I would so. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm following you from afar, and I know that you've been getting nostalgic, and I know that you're, I'm not going to say quitting the national radio scene. I'm going to say putting it on pause because you've had such a tremendous career, and I'm sure one day you'll be doing it again. But I just got to say that I am so thrilled that you got this opportunity to chase your dreams and become a college basketball coach. I kind of went through the peaks and valleys, the highs and lows with you, and there were some times back when I worked with you, I was like, man, is he leaving me high and dry here and, going to become a coach at various stages? And, they didn't come to fruition, but certainly glad that you got this opportunity.
Think about it. We've been friends long enough. You were a long-suffering Atlanta Falcons, Georgia Bulldog sports fan.
Still long-suffering Falcons.
Yeah,
please.
Fine. Okay, Braves have won a World Series. Dogs won 2 national championships.
Correct.
Might well win a 3rd.
Correct.
What are your thoughts on their chances this year?
I think that Georgia's got as good a chance as any other team in the college football playoff, right? I don't think this Georgia team is as good as the ones that won the national title, and I don't really think there's any dominant team. I think people may have thought Ohio State was that team, but I don't think that they are, and so I think that it's a wide open field. Georgia gets to experience the first round bye, and I think they've got as good a shot as anybody.
I mean, it used to be a yearly thing, guys, where the worst was the Super Bowl. Right, that was the lowest of. I think that was lower than any other point.
We did the show, the Doug Gottlieb Show, in Houston for a full week when the Falcons were in the Super Bowl facing the Patriots, and I'm born and raised in Atlanta, and so I did everything. I tried all I could, pulled all the strings I could to try and stay for the game because, the job work paid for us to be out there Monday through Friday, and then the plane ride home Friday after we were done at Radio Row. So I was like, I got to change my flight. I got to try and book additional hotel nights, and it's not cheap. The week of the Super Bowl, I got to find a ticket into the game, and it was going to cost me a lot, an arm and a leg, and I decided, you know what, I'm just not going to do this. I'm going to go home and make sure that we're all buttoned up and ready to be, the Monday after the Super Bowl is a huge day in sports talk radio, so I'm going to make sure we're dialed in and ready to go. And boy, was that one of the worst, the worst sporting event I've ever watched as a fan, and I can't even imagine if I would have dropped out whatever it was, $5 or $10 grand to stay for that game and experience that. My Lord. Yeah,
well, you might have left because you're a leave early guy too. You might have left when the game was 28 to 3.
I am a leave early guy, and I kept telling my wife, I was like, "We got this. We're going to win. We're going to win." She's like, "Adam, you're an Atlanta sports fan. You can't say that. You've seen this before." I go, "No, this time is going to be different." And she's like, "Adam," and she ended up being right. It was not different.
I know everybody in this room is good at what we do. Me and you together at Super Bowls, 5 years in a row, was magical because you would be tracking people down. Brett Favre stopped what he was doing and was leaving and came back in to give us probably a half hour offset. And the two of us working together where you'd set him up and I'd knock him down and wouldn't know who's coming up next and still understand how to carry on a conversation and do these unbelievable interviews. It's the best we've ever been.
I felt like I was in my element at Radio Row, and it's funny because I was giving this thought when Jason reached out to have me on. I was thinking about kind of some of our highlights in terms of interviews, and that Radio Row in Houston. Do you remember who our final guest was of the entire week?
I don't.
So the Falcons are in the Super Bowl that week against the Patriots.
Oh,
we had we had Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, booked, and so the owner of one of the teams in the Super Bowl. That's a great interview, right? I mean, he was at Radio Row, but we had him, and so he was on with you. We had the big stage because the show was on TV, simulcast, and all that stuff. So we had the big lights and the stage, and you're talking to the owner of the Falcons, Arthur Blank. And I look over, and there's like a crowd of people kind of leaning on the stage. And I look over, and who's leaning on the stage? I assume you remember this.
Mike Vick.
Michael Vick is leaning on our stage, and I take my headset off. I jump down from the little table I was at, and I run over. I kind of grab his arm, and I pulled him up on the stage and walked him over in the middle of you talking to Arthur Blank. Like, here we go, former Falcons, franchise quarterback, and obviously this is well after his arrest and incarceration and out of jail and after his time with the Eagles. And it's like, here's the Falcons in the Super Bowl, and here's the owner of the Falcons, Arthur Blank, and Mike Vick on the Doug Gottlieb Show.
Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
It was amazing.
Hey, man, you were great at it. You were great to me. We were an awesome team. Maybe together again someday soon. But in the meantime, go Dogs, go Phoenix. Rooting for your boys in the playoffs. I've become a Georgia Bulldog fan. Loved your family. Happy Hanukkah to you. And let's talk soon.
Thank you, Doug. Same to you. And I love you so much. And I wish nothing but the best for you.
Luke, you're the best, man. Have a good one.
All right. Bye.
Doug Gottlieb Show on Fox Sports Radio. I forget which one I'm supposed to read. What do I owe you? Okay, we're all good. We're all good. I got a lot of people to thank, but mostly the guys in this room. That's coming up next. So as of this very moment, actually as of this morning, I'm the new head coach at Wisconsin Green Bay.
That deserves round for applause.
Thanks, man. There's a side note. There's a lot to it, but the basics of it are, I was kind of raised in a gym. My dad, when I was born, was a head coach at UW Milwaukee. It's in the same league, obviously in the same state system. It's now the arch rival of Green Bay, and this has been a lifelong pursuit, and the ability to do it and still continue this radio show and our subsequent podcast is all anybody could ever ask for, is an opportunity. I've done speeches all over the country, all over the world about the number one thing you should wish for, right? And you should dream about. And people say, like, well, what do you wish for? People wish for health. They wish to live a blessed life, for their kids to do well. But to me, what I wish for my children, for my friends, and for myself is just give me an opportunity. Just give me a chance. And I get it. It's a different path. I have not coached in college basketball, although I was blessed to be a consultant this year for Mike Boynton at Oklahoma State. I've done that for other schools. I've covered the game for 21 years. I played the game. It's been about my family's business is basketball. And now I get a chance to do what my dad did. And my brother's been in this game for almost 30 years, an assistant coach, mostly at the men's level, and he hasn't gotten this opportunity. So I feel honored. I feel blessed. I'm stoked. And I'm all the words, right? There's all the words of emotions, and, is there apprehension? Sure. But the big thing is this, Dan, you tell me if this makes sense. I can tell you my plans. I can tell you how good it's going to be. I know it's going to be fun. I know it's going to be challenging. I know it's going to be very, very different lifestyle for me. And I think it's going to be different for the players because my style is different than I'm sure anybody else they play for. I also have great confidence that we will be successful. It all depends on what lens you look at success through, but I believe we'll be successful. We will achieve greater than whatever the individual parts are, and people will be proud and have fun going and watching our game. But all of these are just words. So when November comes, you can judge me. And when December comes, you can judge me. And I don't think I can guarantee that you'll sit there and go like, hey, he lived up to what his expectations were, which is we're going to get more out of whatever we got than whatever they would do individually. They will be a cohesive group, and they will have fun, and you're going to like coming to watch us play, right? Because this is not drudgery. Basketball is designed as an aerobic activity, and college basketball is designed to represent your university and be the front door of the university. And, oh, yeah, by the way, it's supposed to be fun. Practice every day isn't always fun. You know, trying to line dudes out and get them better and not always fun. But until they're like, I'm going to have a good time. Plus, like, I think I'm going to get really good seats to Packer games.
Your goal of finally going to Lambeau Field.
I've never been to Lambeau.
Should be accomplished.
I've never been to Lambeau.
It's further down the list of things to do, but I think you'll be able to cross it off.
Okay, you know what number one on the list is after the press conference and the getting the players and all that other stuff? Has any Packer player ever ridden an e-bike?
From the training camp? Yeah. I'm not sure if it happened last year.
Okay, so listen, I'm gonna shout out. I have one good friend, Drew. I'm counting on you to send me the coolest e-bike ever. I have my own, but I want a Packer player. I want Jordan Love to ride my e-bike to practice. That's my goal. It's like that's Americana. That's like Americana.
That should be goal number 732 on the list.
No,
I think yes. I think that we've got to get to other things. We got to get these fighting Phoenix back to the NCAA tournament.
Yes. Anyway, to the now 757 of you who have texted me and I haven't yet got back to, I appreciate it. I told my kids this, that if your dream, this is the response to people who want to laugh at it. If no one's laughing at your dreams, might not be dreaming big enough. So I am honored, I am motivated, and I am ready.
This is the Doug Gottlieb Show on Fox Sports Radio.
It's the Doug Gottlieb Show here on Fox Sports Radio. My absolute favorite Christmas song. Part of it is my mom, Jane in Orange, California, who listens to all of my shows, loves Nat King Cole. Also, Johnny Mathis is her favorite, but my dad used to love Nat King Cole. So if you're just joining us, this is my last show on Fox Sports Radio and the live radio feed. Of course, you can download my podcast, All Ball. That's where all the content will go. So if you already have a subscription for it, it'll still work. And if not, download it wherever you download podcasts. I've worked here for 8 years. Dan Byer's been here all 8 of those years, and probably 90% of the shows. And today it's streamed live on YouTube, but we've since I've moved to Green Bay, we have a Zoom, which could have been a live stream as well. And I told him this off air, and I'll tell him it on air. Dan's like a calming influence on me, right? He's so solid, so prepared, so knowledgeable, and just he has that calming kind of voice that honestly, when I press the Zoom button and I can see him, I feel automatically better about the day in sports radio, because I know that if I screw something up, he'll know it. Right? If there's a fact that I need, he knows it. And he also is not afraid to speak his mind, and that's what this is supposed to be about. So I don't know what the future of this portion, I don't have control over that. But I can tell anybody who's listening, including our bosses, if there's ever somebody who deserves an opportunity to have a weekday show, it is you, Dan Beyer, because you treat people well. That's important, but also you're prepared, you have an opinion, and you just have a great way of speaking in the intonation of your voice, the pacing of it, all of those things. They just work, and I truly appreciate our time over the last 8 years.
Well, I've appreciated it, and it's very kind of you to say. The 8 years have gone by. I remember meeting you in the courtyard, but it wasn't the first time that I met you. I've told this story before. It was when you were doing the Great Outdoor Games for ESPN in 2004, and I was working at an iHeart station in Madison. We were an ESPN affiliate at that time. You were with ESPN, and you came over, and you just chatted us up. And so I always had this impression of, man, Doug Gottlieb's a good guy, just comes over, shoots the bull. Never would have thought that 13, 14 years later, whatever it would be, that we would form an 8-year relationship. But travels here, there, and everywhere, teeing it up. It's been an honor. Been an honor to share the microphone with you for these 8 years.
Thanks. Sammy, you've probably been with us the least amount of time, but you are our resident Cliff Clavin. And you're colorful, and also your love and knowledge of college football, it like tickles the heart of me and Dan, especially because you're out here in California, where people don't care as much.
Doug, what's funny is I got here to Fox Sports Radio. It'll be 10 years in May, but I got here like right before you did. But I worked with you a lot on fill-in basis, and it was always like, I got to work with Doug. He's going to keep me on my toes. You sharpened me as a tech producer because throw to update, throw to this sound, throw to that, and you really got to be ready. But I want to say that maybe about 15, maybe even 20 years ago, I saw you on TV, and I'm like, who is this Doug Gottlieb? He's a smart ass. He's really hard on teams. Maybe Steve Alford was coaching Iowa.
Sure.
And I remember seeing you on TV, and I'm like, I don't know if I like this guy. I never thought I would be working with you all these years later. So it's been an experience, I'll tell you that. And I have worked with you off and on for like the last 8 years. How long have you been here? In the last 2 years or so, full time. But we'll miss you, Doug, and we'll miss all the crazy hijinks on the show.
And now I grew up listening to Rome, and Jay Stu was part of Rome, so we've known each other forever. And I begged him to join us a couple years before he ultimately joined us. Jay Stu, you've been awesome, man.
Well, I appreciate it. Back at you. And I did. You told the story earlier in the show, but soon after Will Hancock had reached out to me and said this Doug Gottlieb wants to be your college basketball correspondent, I got a phone call in my office one day. I don't know if I arranged it or if you just felt the need to call to sell me a little bit more. And I talked to you. It was 1999, November 1999, maybe. Flash forward 22 years. We're in the middle of the pandemic. Scott Shapiro calls me and says, Doug wants you to produce this radio show. This business is full circle, full cycle. And I appreciate everything that you've done for me in my career, and I appreciate our friendship.
Thanks, Jay. To those of you who listened for the last 23 years, you've been with me through basketball, different jobs, marriage, kids, divorce, now coaching. I appreciate you. Radio's relationship. Consider me your friend. If I said something that pissed you off, is just because I thought your sports team or your player wasn't as good as some other sports team or player. It was, for the most part, never personal. And it's a pleasure. If you zoom out in your life, and I'm not yet 50, I always dreamed of being on TV playing basketball. I did that. I always dreamed of doing this, of talking about sports. And I've always dreamed about being a Division I men's head basketball coach. And I don't know if this clears up more time to have a better life. I've worked Christmases, Thanksgivings, any holiday, anytime. I'm a never say no guy. Can't say you want something and go, well, I want it on my time. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. But to the people at iHeart, to Scott Shapiro and Don Martin who brought me over here, I appreciate you. Thank you. To Chris Olivero at CBS Sports Radio, I thank you. I appreciate you. To Louise Cornetta, to Bruce Gilbert, who was then at ESPN Radio, I appreciate you. And to my kids that I missed a lot of stuff. But you got a lot of stuff because I got all this time on sports radio. Try and be a better man, try and be a better dad, and I'll try and be a better coach. It's not goodbye forever. You can still check out the podcast, but for now, it's bidding adieu. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. This is the Doug Gottlieb Show.